Joining me now is attorney for Donald Trump, Joe Tacopina. Joe, thank you for joining us. And folks, just so we understand, Joe's about to go into the meeting with the president and the legal team. Joe, news of the day, I see Trump added a Todd Blanche to the team. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Todd's a terrific guy, great lawyer, welcome addition. Look, the more the merrier here when it comes to value add, and he's certainly a value add. He's a member of the team with Susan and myself, and, we'll all be rowing our oars in the same direction to get this horrific miscarriage of justice, political persecution undone.
And Joe, just for the folks who haven't seen you on with us on Friday, and it was fantastic. Mugshot, yes. Cuffs, yes or no?
No.
Will he be printed, yes or no? Just go through that for us again, because things may have shifted in the last couple of days.
Yeah. I don't, this is logistics that I think going to be handled by the Secret Service for the most part, along with the court personnel. I don't know if there's a picture, a mugshot, so to speak. There are no handcuffs. I don't think there's going to be fingerprints or DNA. I think they have those already. But who knows? There's no playbook for this, Eric, right? We've never done this before. I've never been driven to a court appearance by Secret Service agents, so the whole thing is going to be surreal.
There are those who think that the mugshot might be just the thing as far as 2024 campaign, because, personally, I can imagine most the general public saying, "Why are they doing this to this guy?" And that mugshot could be on T-shirts, on mugs, on hats, and some sort of campaign paraphernalia.
Yeah, I mean, look, since the indictment, most people get indicted. And if they happen to be running for an office or something, that's sort of the end of their run and most likely their political career. Donald Trump gets indicted and his numbers go through the roof. He's raising more money than he had before. And that's simply because his base, they are now fully aware that everything he was saying about the justice system being weaponized against him, about his political opponents taking action through the justice system, is coming to fruition. It's a real thing, and it's really happening. And that's what's scary. And so I think you're seeing the byproduct of that, the result of that. It may have backfired on them. Maybe they thought this was going to kneecap Donald Trump, but, quite to the contrary.
Yeah, it's in the campaign announced today that $7 million were raised in 3 days. So it apparently is backfiring. If they were trying to keep him...
It's going to be a new campaign strategy. Get yourself indicted, and you raise a lot of money.
So, Joe, the thing that everyone wants to know right now, what is the judge tomorrow going to do? Will he institute a gag order? Tell us the procedure for that, and what do you think of that?
I don't think a gag order is in the cards. A gag order is an extreme measure. It's a violation of the First Amendment. It has to be balanced with the fundamental right to a fair trial for both parties. But there's no evidence that a gag order is in the cards here. It wouldn't be appropriate in this case. And, you put one more twist to it. The defendant happens to be running for the office of the presidency of the United States as a leading Republican candidate. How can you gag him from talking about this? It's going to be certainly an issue on his campaign and whatnot. So I think it's a non-issue, really. There may be some protective orders on discovery and, things that cannot be disclosed to third parties, which is almost par for the course. So I don't think I'm too concerned about that. But a gag order, no.
So if there was, though, John, I mean, no one thought they would indict President Trump. I mean, no one thought they would go that far. It's insane to twist the jurisprudence into a pretzel to get the man an indictment. But let's just say the judge who, I think the history of the judge, Trump doesn't like him. I think Trump called for a change of venue to Staten Island, possibly because he didn't think you could get a fair trial in Manhattan, and also called for a change of judge. But if the judge does go ahead and do that, would Trump violate the gag order?
Oh, I don't. Look, I don't see any scenario. We would fight this to the highest level if they try and impose a gag order on the defendant. Imposing it on lawyers is one thing. We have, ethical obligations, and there's certain rules, and judges have more control of lawyers. And I don't think he's imposing on the lawyers either. But certainly imposing it on a party, a defendant, in violation of the First Amendment, particularly when there is a live campaign. I can't see it happening, so I don't want to speculate as to what the president would do if it did happen, because it's not going to happen, and we would take it all the way up to the top and fight this. So I'm not
Joe, so you mentioned something very important. You would appeal that. There are things that I just mentioned. The president said maybe this thing shouldn't be on the island of Manhattan, put it over on Staten Island, and change the judge. You know, all these things. Where are you guys on that? And this means that the process could take quite a while.
This process could take quite a while. It probably will take quite a while. We're not ready to decide what motions we're going to make, including venue motions, until we get the indictment. It'd be, sort of premature to start speculating. But motions that will be filed are motions to dismiss this case based on selective prosecution, prosecutorial misconduct, and things of that nature. That I can tell you without seeing the indictment. But those will be filed. But other motions will be filed as well. Look, Eric, any motion that can be filed in this case to support our position that this case doesn't belong in a courtroom will be filed.
If he does, let's just say, because people are watching, what's the future? What's the prognosis for President Trump? If he is convicted on some of these counts, and I assume it's 34, and I assume all the counts are having to do with business records, but if he does get convicted, what's the range of penalty? Is there jail time involved? Is there monetary? What's the minimum? What's the maximum?
Eric, that's a great question, and you're being a great journalist, but there's no way I'm answering that question, because that scenario is not allowed in my head. It's not happening. He's not getting convicted, and we're going to fight this until this is this political persecution is put back in its box where it belongs, which is the garbage pail.
Yeah, Joe. Next tomorrow, this is Monday night in the 8 o'clock hour. Tomorrow, Tuesday in the 8 o'clock hour, President Trump is scheduled to make comments from Mar-a-Lago. A lawyer, you're a lawyer, you're his lawyer. Lawyers tend to tell your clients to, number one, stay out of the media. You can't tell Donald Trump to stay out of the media. But what do you think we'll hear, and what would a good lawyer for President Donald Trump, Joe Tacopina, tell him to steer clear of?
Look, President Trump's going to be President Trump. It's what got him elected. He became president because of it. I've learned that, he's going to be who he is. So, whatever he says, he's going to say. He feels very victimized here, politicized by a system. He's being indicted by a state prosecutor for an alleged federal campaign finance violation, which doesn't exist. So I can just tell you that he's going to speak his mind, and he's going to speak to his voters and speak to the country. And he's going to, like he always does, very direct and very raw. There's no filters there. And certainly, I'm not one to give him lessons on how to speak and what to say. He's going to say and speak the way he wants to. And honestly, he's got himself into the White House by doing that.
Joe, I know you got to go because you're going into that meeting with the legal team and the president himself. But before you go, any concern about the safety tomorrow surrounding, the arraignment in Manhattan?
No. I mean, look, you have the Secret Service involved, best protective agency in the world. You have the NYPD, the largest police force in the world. You have the great New York State Court Officers Union run by Dennis Quirk and that organization. I'm not, look, there's always safety issues when you're around a president, but I don't believe that.
Are you joining him, Joe? Are you going to join him to the arraignment?
Yeah, I'll be going with him. Sure, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and just his legal team? Any family members? Any advisors?
No. This is going to keep this lean because of protective issues. It's going to be the legal team only. Got it.
Joe Tacopina, thank you for again making this show one of the primary stops on your information tour. Appreciate your time, Joe. Thank you.
You're the best. Thanks, Mike.
All right.